Hey guys, CrazyKnightHero here, and today I thought I would go over the new subclass tree, Code of the Devastator. Now we're not just going to read about the perks and send you on your way, we're going to try and look at the numbers and see exactly what pairs with what and everything, and try to find some cool synergies and whatnot. But let's get into it. Okay, let's go ahead and cover the other perks other than the super first, because it's just a lot more simple this way. And we're just going over PvE today, I should have mentioned that. Your melee ability gives you a throwing hammer. You can throw it at people and pick it back up, so you get your recharge refreshed. Something you may not know about the throwing hammer is it actually has precision damage. It won't actually light up yellow like it does when you hit a precision hit, but if you hit generally in the head area of an enemy sometimes, then it will do double the damage. But it is quite inconsistent. The baseline damage for a body shot on a throwing hammer against these opponents is 2008. Next perk, super simple. Hit an enemy with your throwing hammer, pick it back up, you also get some health. Sweet. Now this is where the numbers really come in. With the next perk, Roaring Flames. Kills with your solar abilities increase those abilities' damage, stacks up to 3 times. How much is the damage boost, you may be asking? Well, the base damage of the throwing hammer was 2008 damage. Then we get 2,409 with 1 stack of Roaring Flames, so we can conclude that it is a 20% buff to your ability damage. What it actually does is it keeps plussing 20% damage off of the already buffed damage. So example, I have 0 Roaring Flames. I throw a hammer at someone, it does 2008 damage. Then I have 1 Roaring Flames. Then, like we discussed, I hit 2,409 with my next hammer. Now I have 2 Roaring Flames. It's the next damage value plus by 20%, so I actually hit 2,891. So now that we know that Roaring Flames buffs every single buff incremental damage by 20%, if that makes sense, then we take our last number and we plus that by 20% again. So then a throwing hammer doing body shot damage with 3 stacks of Roaring Flames will do 3,469 damage. And since we know that hammers can actually do headshot damage sometimes, then we take that number and times it by 2, and we get 6,940 damage. That's a lot of damage! So this got me thinking, what exotics work well with throwing hammer? Do the feedback fences work with throwing hammer? Yep. I get a kill with it, and it adds a stack of Fury Conductor. Little fun fact, hammers do not hurt environmental objects. Do throwing hammers work with the Dune Marchers? Yes, and it's super awesome. You just sprint a little bit, activate the Dune Marcher perk, throw a hammer, and watch the lightning fly. This gives your hammer an AoE effect, and it is super awesome for ad glare, so try this out. And even if there's no one to chain lightning onto, this increases its single target damage by about 900 damage if you have the Dune Marcher perk active. Do the Synthoceps buff throwing hammer damage? Oh my goodness, yes they do. It buffs the base damage of the throwing hammer by 200%. Then, if you do all the stacks of Roaring Flames, the 20% increments all the way up to 3, and then you add on the 2 times headshot bonus, then you can throw a hammer that does 20,819. That is huge. So definitely consider using the Synthoceps with your throwing hammer. Now we've been talking a bunch about the throwing hammer and the damage increases with that, but Roaring Flames also increases the damage between your super and your grenade. So let's talk about the grenade next. Now, I only tested the fusion grenade. I'm sure it buffs the other grenades. You guys can give it a shot if you want. And I wanted to test the fusion grenade especially because pretty sure it does the most damage, and especially with an exotic. I'll show you guys in a second. So, a normal fusion grenade on an acolyte. It does 67 impact damage, then the explosion does 4,987. So, plus those together, the base damage of a fusion grenade on a acolyte is 5,054. Now, with 1 stack of Roaring Flames, the impact damage is now 81, and the explosion damage is 5,984, making it a total of 6,065. So just like what we expected, pluses it by 20%, and then the next stack would plus the higher number by 20%, so on and so forth. Pretty straightforward. But if we equipped this exotic, the Ashen Wake, then it makes it where your fusion grenades throw farther and explode on impact and do more damage. It doesn't actually say that part, but it does do more damage. It about doubles it. So the base damage of a fusion grenade totaled up is about 5,054. Then the base damage with this exotic is 10,040. So almost 2 times the amount. Super good. So with this exotic and 3 stacks of Roaring Flames, you can have a fusion grenade that does 17,349 damage. That's a lot. And it's not as super situational as the 20,000 damage throwing hammer. You don't need to be surrounded by people and all that weird stuff. All you need to do is have 3 stacks of Roaring Flames and throw your fusion grenade. And it's always a good idea to use your throwing hammer to build your stacks of Roaring Flames, because that refreshes really fast and you don't have to wait for a cooldown since you can just go pick it up. Also, there may be some Forsaken exotics you can pair really well with Roaring Flames and stuff to buff your damage or something like that. I think the Crest of Inmost Light could do that stuff. It seems like it, like you use your other abilities and it buffs your other ones. So maybe you can use that. I don't have that exotic, so I couldn't test it. But before this video is 10 minutes long, let's try to cover the super. Okay, I'm gonna try and simplify this the best I can. If you want pure boss damage, that's the only thing I looked into, do not do the twirl around melee, only do the slam attack. In the duration of your super, if you start spamming the slam right away, you can get about 8 of them off. There's really 2 ways this super damages a target: the explosion from the wave and the burning effect left by the tornado. And there are 20 ticks of this per tornado. And if you have 3 stacks of Roaring Flames, which of course buffs your damage, add the explosion damage and the burning damage and you get 6,438 for 1 slam. Times that by 8 for the number of slams and you get 51,504. So that's the max damage you can do outside of exotics. And of course we know Synthoceps would probably buff your super more than anything else. And in closing, just to give all these damage numbers a little bit more perspective, if I were to take a aggressive frame sniper rifle, so not quite Whisper of the Worm, but just that archetype still, and shoot the ogre in the face, it would deal 10,000 damage. So just think about it, again, the 20,000 damage hammer, the 17,000 damage fusion grenade, and the damage we're pumping out with the super with 3 stacks is about 50,000, and that's not even with Synthoceps on top of it. So just think about them damage numbers, man. They're huge. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching the video, and had a lot of fun doing this. A lot of math, a lot of work was into this, so hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks.